What's going on, world? Today I'm excited. You know what? Today is just a great day. One, because I'm in the recording studio. I really have not been home since the 1st of August, getting ready to hit the road again very soon for a 6-day stay. But I'm going to tell you why I'm really excited. Earlier this year, I had the opportunity to interview Zack. And at that time, he was down in Florida, and he has Driving for Dollars Mastery and a lot of great ideas we generated out of that recording. Well, what I'm elated about is the fact that he's back, but we're going to hear about his success. He has broken down all of those numbers for you. He has a strategy for you as real estate professionals. So, Zack, what's going on today? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me again. And my voice is a little hoarse, so forgive me, guys. So
we forgive you, because guess what? We can still hear those nuggets, regardless to any hoarseness that might be in your voice. So I want to take them back. So I had the opportunity to interview you before. We talked about Driving for Dollar Mastery, which is definitely a technique. I understand that you are a wholesaler. However, realtors need to befriend wholesalers, right? Because there's a lot of additional real estate opportunities. Yep. When we talked, you were actually in a car, you were sitting in front of a property. You shared with us all of these great resources and tools that we could use in our business. Yep. And so tell me what happened since the time that we spoke last.
Yeah. So for the audience that didn't catch, the first episode that we did together, I wanted to show people how possible it was to get started with just very little money. I'm a coach, and I help people, but I want to inspire. I do this is how I want to give back. I created financial freedom because of real estate wholesaling, real estate investing, and this is kind of my mission for the rest of my life, or at least the foreseeable future. And so I took $1,000. I flew to Tampa, Florida. I'm here in Utah now. This is where I live. And, but I flew to Tampa, Florida. I'd never been there before. And the goal is to make 40 grand in 40 days with just $1,000. And I was going to do that by doing real estate wholesaling, where I find a discounted opportunity and pass the opportunity on to a flipper or buy and hold investor for a fee. Right. So no risk, no debt. And the only thing I'd spend money on was how to find these sellers. Right. $1,000 was to marketing. So I got an app called Deal Machine. And I started driving. Started building that list. I also started networking and building a cash buyers list. I started trading cash buyers with other wholesalers and investor-friendly real estate agents. I had over 11,000 cash buyers by the time I ended the challenge by just that strategy, just negotiating. So every investor-friendly real estate agent, every contractor, anyone that you could possibly imagine, from Orlando to Tampa to all the outskirting cities south to I don't even know the name of that place at this point. Anyways, I had a lot of cash buyers, and you'll actually see I actually made a mistake and sent a deal out $100 or $100,000 too low to 11,000 people. So my inbox blew up. I made a lot of mistakes. It was a struggle, and I shared them all. I shared the challenges, I shared the mistakes, but yeah, we ended up getting 7 properties under contract. It was an incredible experience.
Hold on, because you've already blown my mind, right? And we just started this, okay? So you went to Florida with $1,000. You went to the Tampa, Florida area.
Yep.
The goal was to earn $40,000 in 40 days.
Yep.
You used the app called Deal Machine, and you did share that with us the last time.
Yep.
You built a database of how many cash buyers?
11,000 is what it ended up being.
11,000 cash buyers. Okay.
Yep.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Okay. Okay. I'm getting my head wrapped around this. Okay.
So the thing is a lot of people are like, 11,000 cash buyers. None of them are vetted. True. Right. I traded with other people. There's everyone that I could possibly need. But I found a couple deals that were out in the outskirts closer to Orlando by accident, and I had buyers for it. I traded up and I found everybody that I possibly would need. So it's a strategy that made a big difference to my business here in Utah. And so it's a strategy that I used and I taught. So for the audience to understand how to do it, is I didn't have any cash buyers to trade. So what I did is I basically brokered a trade. I went to a wholesaler and I said, hey, if I can double your cash buyers, would you trade? And they go, yeah, I mean, of course, more cash buyers equals more money. I get more money per deal, right? I can move deals that are harder to move. Say, okay, great. How many cash buyers do you have on your list? 3,000. Fantastic. I'll come back to you with more, right? I'll count you in. And then I can call the next guy and be like, hey, I got Joe home buyers on board. Will you trade cash buyers list? Oh yeah, I will. How many do you have? Okay, I got 1,000. Okay, I'll come back to you. Send me those 1,000 and I'll send you Joe home buyers. I'll send you more. So then I get 3 or 4 wholesalers to email me their cash buyers list. I put it all into one pot, get rid of duplicates, and send them all the new list. And then I keep them all. So I basically increased every other wholesaler's cash buyers list and kept them as well.
So let me just say, the language you're using is foreign to me, right? Which is why I love to interview people who are smarter, more gregarious, and outgoing than myself, because how you breaking this concept down. Let me be clear. I've never wholesaled a property, so I've never heard this language before. And so it's good to understand the language, but also the concept, right? Because now I'm freaking mesmerized. Okay. So you get you a list, but the list is compiled from multiple people who also end up with the list. So now everybody has a bigger group of cash buyers to take their deals and shop. Is that correct?
Yeah. So let me break down the process of wholesaling, right? So we go out, we find someone that doesn't want an agent. They want to sell it quick. They want speed and convenience. Some agents, will find people like this. They call them pocket listings, right? People that just want a cash buyer now, and they just go to their pool of friends that they know that flip houses and they go, hey, I got a deal. What would you pay? Right? We do that, but we do it on a much, 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 much larger scale. Instead of 3 or 4 cash buyers in my back pocket, I got thousands, right? And so that's what I'm building is my buyers list that will take care of these deals when I find a seller that wants speed and convenience. Okay. So for me as an investor, right, I look at every single deal and I go, hey, does this one make sense for my own portfolio? Do I want to keep this as a rental or a flip for myself? And I go, I don't know. But I can send an email to my cash buyers list and say, hey, I have an assignable contract for sale. If you guys would like to buy my contract, this is the situation. This is the house. Come inspect it. Right. And then I can make a decision. Do I want to sign the contract for 30, 40 grand? Or do I want to flip it? Or do I want to keep it as a rental? And I can evaluate all of my options. So all real estate wholesaling is you get a property under contract and you assign it to a different buyer. But if you don't have the buyers, it's really hard to assign. So when I landed, I had a couple tasks. I had to find sellers, but I also had to build my buyers list. Right. And so that's what I did. So by the time I was done, I had traded up to that amount. And then as far as like finding my sellers, I was using Deal Machine. Deal Machine is an app where I can drive through a neighborhood and I can identify houses with physical signs of neglect. And the reason this is so important and why I think driving for dollars is the fastest way to make an absolute fortune in real estate investing is because your marketing is laser focused on the right types of sellers for a real estate investor, right? Because if someone wants speed and convenience over price, they want a pawn shop for their house, they don't want to list it, they don't want to fix it up, right? They just want to be done with it. It's because the house is a thorn in their side. So we're finding people that are tired landlords, they've depreciated out, all the money, they don't want to deal with it, they don't care, right? They're wealthy, they don't care. That's actually our most common seller. Most people think it's people that are down and out on their luck, and it's people that are wealthy that don't want to deal with them anymore. It is actually what happens. They know. And like you'll see on the 40-day challenge, day 4, I got 3 contracts from a seller. He has multiple investment properties. He had 3 he didn't want to deal with. And I said, you can hear my script. I say, why don't you, they're completely fixed up, Jerry. Why don't you just list them with an agent? You'll get way more money. He said, I don't care. I don't care. That's what he said. He says, I want to be done. Right. So we're trying to find people that are done with their rentals. We're trying to find people that inherited properties and maybe mom was a hoarder, and they needed an investor. And seriously, we're finding crazy stuff.
Let me say this. We sold, and it would have, let me say this. I've wholesaled a property essentially, right? My mother-in-law was a hoarder. She left her house clear and free to my husband. He did not want to be a landlord. We cleaned it out. A wholesaler who's also a realtor came over, saw the property in the clean out phase and bought it. It never went on the MLS or anything.
Yeah.
He bought it. He gave me an offer right then on the sidewalk. He's like, I can see it, Mark. He got the comps to support it. Here we go.
Yeah. I mean, think about that, everybody. Think about how intelligent Marky is, her experience and everything she knows. And in her personal situation, she wanted convenience over price. It happens all the time. All the time.
She was a hoarder and I couldn't get my husband to take action. And so
yeah, exactly.
That was the only action I could get him to take without strangling him, right? And it wasn't my house. It was my husband's house, right?
Yeah.
But I'm taking on all the responsibility. And I'm like, oh, we need this to be gone. I'm thinking about it now. I needed it to be gone. And I needed it quick, simple, and fast because Steven mentally was so disconnected from the transaction.
Yep.
Okay. Now that I realize
we're finding
myself.
Yeah, exactly. Isn't this cool, right? Because like there's so many real estate agents, especially don't like wholesalers because they think that we're taking advantage of people. They think that we're taking money out of their pockets, right? But they don't want an agent. Like a good wholesaler understands that. We're going for completely different sellers. I found a bunch of sellers that I passed on to agents while I was there because they weren't for me. And I'm not an agent and I didn't want to list. I was showing people you can do wholesaling, right? That was my strategy. And so anyways, there's other things like there's people that don't want to fix them up. They're just in really bad condition or whatever it might be. So when I'm driving through, I'm looking for houses with physical signs of neglect because I'm trying to find houses that are a thorn in someone's side, right? Just like your property was to you, Marquis. There was personal situation. It was inherited properties, bad condition. There was a lot of things that made it happen, but you probably didn't want to go fix the repairs and there might have been peeling paint and the grass was dead. And like when you drive through neighborhoods, you see properties where there's something going on behind the curtains, right? And so that's what I did. I went through and I started adding properties. Deal Machine's so cool because it's a Google Street image basically, and I can drive through and identify the house and I touch the house on the map in the app, right? And it uploads all of the owner information into an Excel spreadsheet immediately. I can get phone numbers, addresses, mailing addresses, names, all of it. So then I can reach out and see if they want to sell. And that's what I did. And I started cold calling. In my personal business, I text, cold call, and send postcards. I make more money off of postcards than anything else. Just off our Driving for Dollars list, we made just shy of $500,000 just off of postcards to that list in just Utah. Right. But in cold calling, it's the fastest way to get to people. And I had 40 days. Right. So I had to get people on the phone now. I couldn't send a postcard. A week later, they get it. They hold on to it for 2 weeks and they call me back. Oh, I've got to go home. It just wasn't going to work. So I had to get people on the phone. I worked my ass off. It was horrible. It was so much work. I had a 4-day stint within that time frame that I was there. That from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed, I was cold calling and I was on a triple line dialer. So I'm calling 3 people at one time. I was using mojosales.com. Many realtors have dialing systems. They know what a triple line dialer is. And, I was calling people just saying, hey, this is Zach. Might have the wrong number, but I'm trying to get a hold of XYZ. Great. Do you have a property? Would you like to sell it? Do you have any other properties you'd like to sell? And I'm getting yelled at and told to take a hike and go die and whatever else, right? But I was trying to find that right person. Day 4, miracles happened. I cold called 3 different people that ended up becoming 5 contracts on day 4. So if you want to watch one day of that challenge, day 4 is amazing. Life-changing.
Okay, so we did this 40-day challenge. Now, you told me you had to leave early. You couldn't stay the whole 40 days, right?
Yeah, so 30 days in. So my wife's from Brazil. So one of the reasons I picked Tampa is warm, right? January is warm. And if I was going to be out in the elements, it's going to be nice. So that was one of the requirements. The other reason why I picked Tampa is there's flights out of Tampa to Sao Paulo, Brazil, where my wife's family's from, where she's from. So I was like, we'll take the kids. I have 2 little ones. And I was like, take the kids, go see your family. It'll be great. Go spend a month. She hadn't seen them in like a year and a half because of COVID, 2 years. So she goes down, spends some time with them. Day 30, she's supposed to get back on a plane, but she tests positive for COVID. So she can't get on a plane to come home. So I'm like, okay, well, the last 10 days of the challenge, I'm going to have to finish it off in Brazil. So I grab my passport, get tested, for COVID, jump on a plane to go to Brazil, knowing that I'm going to get COVID. And I had to finish the last 10 days of my challenge in a foreign country with no cell phone service, just internet, and having COVID. And my father-in-law was hospitalized, but I ended up getting 2 more contracts in those last 10 days that I was down in Brazil.
Oh, I knew you went to Brazil for the last 10 days. I'm not thinking about the communication issue in regards to sales service, right? So you had to go to Brazil. You knew you were going to get sick because you were going to be with your wife, right? And then, oh, you took one for the, well, that's what I guess men do, right? You had to take it for the household. You took one for the team, right?
Yeah, my brother-in-law's like, Zach is so smart, goes to a third world country just to get COVID.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, love will do it for you, right?
Yeah.
So when you look back on this 40-day challenge, what did you net out of the challenge?
Yeah. So 2 of the contracts fell apart. I was under contract too high, and it was mostly my fault. I didn't have the experience in the market. I didn't know how to comp properties. I didn't know there was block homes and stick homes down there. Like, there was a whole bunch of crap I had to learn about the market. I had no idea. So I made a mistake. 2 fell apart, but we closed on 5 of them. 3 of them, we did traditional wholesale deals. We made $93,000 on those 3 wholesale deals. That's where we sold the purchase contracts. Sold one for 10 grand, sold another one for 30, and then another one for 53. So those were the 3 wholesale deals that I did. And then 2 of them, I actually kept as rentals. Because they were completely remodeled. I could have easily assigned them for probably 40 grand for the 2 of them, but I kept them as rentals just because I blew my goal out of the water and I said, hey, why not? So 2 of them I bought for 110,000 for both of them combined. They're worth about 220,000, both of them. They're completely remodeled. They were such a low price because they're kind of out in the middle of nowhere. And they were manufactured homes. But to me, it made sense because they had tenants, long-term tenants already in place, making $700 and $800 a month. So my cash flow was insane, and it made sense. They were built after one was like 1980 something. The other one's 1992. So they were past the age that I could definitely get long-term financing. I mean, they made sense. So I kept 2 of them as rentals with over $100,000 in equity. And I'm making about $1,000 a month in cash flow off those 2 properties.
Wow. Okay. So the initial goal was 40,000. We made 93,000. So you doubled, right?
Yeah.
You had to cut the challenge short by 10 days. You had to go operate in another country with no cell service, only emails, even though historically
I did get an app. I had Wi-Fi. So then I had to figure out, how do I call people? So I was able to find an online app that I could call people using the internet. I can't remember what it's called, but I was like, how do I call people? Like, yeah, because I didn't figure that one out until I landed, but I figured it out.
Now, each state has different rules and regulations around wholesaling. I happen to be in one of those states that probably had the most stringent rules. So here currently in the state of Illinois, a person can only wholesale one property in a 12-month period of time without being licensed. This is why it's also important to understand the strategies. In the world of real estate, I do want you to go back and check your rules, but I'll give you an example of how one would navigate that here. We have agency in the state of Illinois can be implied or expressed. I can do a notice of no agency to anyone. So if you're going to do a wholesale deal, you want to implement, if you're licensed, a notice of no agency. But I believe that because we should all be investing in real estate, and because we also want to get the absolute best deal. If this was going to be a personal strategy of yours, if you're licensed, you have to adhere to your license rules, but there are things that you can get signed off on, like a notice of no agency, before entering into that transaction. So you won't have any issues down the road. But then also, there are people who would love to wholesale here in the state of Illinois, right? That means that I could represent them outside of that first transaction that they might want to likely do themselves. We have to think strategically about real estate and follow the rules and regulations. But I'm just giving you an Illinois example. I don't know what the rules are everywhere else. I just want you to understand how it would work, or some of the obstacles you were talking about. You didn't know that there were your comps were off because they were off. You didn't know the marketplace. Know your marketplace. So one, you're bold, right? We know that you left Utah, you went to Tampa, you left Tampa, you went down to South America, and you still made it happen, and you still exceeded all of your goals. What is like one of the first steps that you think, because I'm hearing wholesaling, actually, if we were to go over to google.com/trends right now, it is one of the subjects that has increased in popularity. It's a lot of searches going on for wholesaling property.
Yeah.
So what is one of the first steps, or what even got you interested in it?
Well, the thing that got me interested in it is I wanted to invest in real estate, right? Everyone talked about cash flow. Everyone talked about passive income. And I read Rich Dad Poor Dad when I was 14 years old. And my dad cut me off financially when I was 16. He paid for my housing and my food. And he said, "You're a man now, take care of yourself." And I had to buy my first truck cash because he wouldn't co-sign a loan. I had to pay for my own basketball stuff. And I had to quit trading hours for time. So I started my first business when I was 17. We talked about this in the last episode, and I started a window cleaning business. And then I bought a rental in 2012, and my monthly payment was like $400 a month. And I rented the one side for $750. So I was living for free, and I'm like, "Okay, I got to do 50 of these." But then I hit all those barriers of buying from the MLS, the traditional way of down payments, 25% to 30%. And then my debt to income ratios, buying a beat up rundown property that doesn't have any tenants or leases to help with the debt to income ratios. So I just hit all these barriers to buy more real estate. And I was like, okay, now what do I do? Right. And then I heard about wholesaling, and I was like, aha, that's it. That's the game. Because now I get to find people that want speed and convenience. I get a good deal, but then I can also negotiate terms. I can get seller finance. I can, I bought one, the seller finance, $2,000 down. I actually done it twice, and I've gotten two properties at seller finance. One of them I made over $100,000 when I sold it. The other one I made 60 something thousand when I sold it. Right. So I learned that I could get into the world of real estate investing by wholesaling. So what I tell my students all the time is you cherry pick the best and you sell the rest. Right. And that's what wholesaling became. Is I was able to build a business, a company that the whole business plan and model is generating investment opportunities. It's like, I'm like, I'm the one creating the stocks. You know what I mean? Like I'm the first person in line to go, do I want this deal or do I want the cash? It's the greatest business in the world. That's why I did it, because I wanted to build generational wealth. I wanted to be able to put my money somewhere and overnight, upon purchase, get a 200 to 300 to 500 or to an infinite return on my money, because I have none of my own money in it. Right. And I build wealth because I had none to start with. Right. So it was a way for me to start.
With the $1,000 in the 40-day challenge, did you spend that, or did you come home with it?
No, I spent it. Yeah. I mean, I spent it in the first 3 weeks and I was out. But then we cashed out on some deals, and I could have spent all that I wanted, but they were all cashing out there at the end and a little bit after the 40 days. But yeah, I mean, it's most of it got spent on, so I had to pay. So these are my costs. Okay. I'm sure that's what everyone wants to know. So I paid for Mojo, right? Mojo sells, and you guys can get a free trial if you use my discount code PIN. So that's what I did, right? I used my own discount code, got my free trial. So I got my free trial and cranked out as much as I could in that free trial. And then I got mojosells.com and a triple line dialer, and that cost me like $100 and something bucks. It was like $110 for the whole time. And then I got phone numbers. I bought phone numbers. I got phone numbers from batchskiptracing.com. You can use my discount code DFD to get a much cheaper price. And then I think I was like 15 cents. I can't remember the exact price per phone number. And as soon as I had added enough addresses and spent all my money on phone numbers that I could, that was it. I was out of money.
So Mojo Sales, triple line dialer, and then a batch skip tracing, and you gave us all of the different codes so that people can get extended trials and try these programs out.
Yep.
But I want to go back and look at it. So you spent $1,000, but you made 93,000, exceeded the goal, and you have you got rental income coming in every single month, plus you have equity. First of all, I can't even break down right what the cost of goods sold was. It's less than 1%, right? It's less than 1%.
Yeah.
On a wholesaling system. Your cost of goods sold, right? And we're not even talking about the equity and the future rental income, right?
Yeah.
So essentially, over time, it's all free money. Not free because it's still going to require some efforts, but this is the lowest cost I've ever seen of any business operation bringing in the necessary tools in order to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, I blew the goals out of the water, and I truly believe God blessed me. I got really emotional day 4. I cried like a baby, and it was a little embarrassing for me. But I showed it. I showed it anyways. I prayed before I went. Because the whole reason I did this was not to be like, hey, look how cool I am, guys. Look how much money I can make. Nobody cares. I mean, nobody cares about me. They care what can I give them. And I understand that. And I would not have a YouTube channel and a podcast and everything that I do if it wasn't for the mission that I had set myself 3 years ago, which is to give back and to give people what was given to me from my mentor, Tom Kroll. And I was up late one night, like, how do I inspire and show people how possible this is? And it's like, well, what took me from a skeptic to a believer? It's like, well, I was washing windows for a wealthy gentleman that didn't want to deal with his rentals anymore. And I got these 2 rentals, seller finance, $2,000 down. And I sold them for over 6 figures. I met Stan. It's like, I have to show the world that it's possible. They have to have the same gift that God gave me. They have to meet Stan, right? So before I left, I prayed. I said, God, please give me a Stan. I want to show people that they can do it. That if this goober Zack Boothe, this window cleaner, can do it, they can do it, right? But they need to see it happen. They need to see me meet a wealthy real estate investor, see that it's high integrity, see that I'm serving and adding value to someone's life, and I'm making a ton of money for doing that, right? And day 4, I called the wrong phone number. Jerry answers the phone, you hear the call, and he's like, honey, do we own the address? I can't remember the address I told him. And I was like, okay, this guy's got multiple rentals. It's like, I was like, yeah, no, it's okay. Do you have any other properties you'd like to sell? Do you have any? He's like, oh, matter of fact, I got 3 or 2, he said. And I ended up getting 3 of them, that night. And it was amazing. I made 6 figures. It was exactly what I prayed for. So I got really choked up. Right. It was exactly what I prayed for. I mean, it was almost identical to what I had prayed for day 4. Blew my expectations and goals out of the water. I didn't even know if I was going to make 40 grand, but I wanted to at least get one deal, and I wanted to show people that it was possible. And so I was really humbled and really grateful to produce this content and to help people. But, in my business, I can tell you guys my numbers. I spend about 15 cents on marketing to make $1. So I have a 85% net profit after marketing, which leaves a huge margin to pay my team to do it all. I don't go on appointments anymore. I don't negotiate. I don't do the disposition to the end buyer. I don't do anything. I evaluate the deals and go, do I want to keep this one or do I want the cash? Right? I get to choose. That's what I do now. And all of my free time is spent with my beautiful little family and coaching and serving and helping other people and doing content like this. Right. And yeah. It's amazing.
So if this is something that someone is interested in, because look, we know everybody is setting these big goals, these BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals for 2022, right?
Yeah.
And what I'm hearing is that you recorded this, you documented this entire process, right? How do they do business with you? What do they need to do?
Yeah, so there's a couple things. I'm sure the audience will want to watch the content and see it, and you should, right? You should definitely do that. So you can go to dfdmastery.com/40 in 40, right? The number 40 in 40. That'll give you access to the 40-day challenge. We'll ask for your email and we'll email it to you. For those that are watching this live, you can find it live on my YouTube channel. Go to playlists, you can find it. But the easiest way is to go to that link. It'll be live on the 19th of November, 2021. If you guys are listening to this before then, go to the YouTube channel. After, you're going to need to go to that link to get access. I have a podcast as well where I'm interviewing my students and breaking down this, driving for dollars as we do it in a little bit deeper form. Go to my podcast, Driving for Dollars Mastery. You can check out my podcast, and then My suggestion, if you really want to do this, you got to get a coach. You can watch my content and learn a lot of things, but I say this because I didn't figure it out on my own, right? Tom Kroll changed my life. He was my coach. He doesn't coach anymore, but he changed my life. And I'll be forever grateful for him. And my suggestion is, when you guys find a coach, there's 3 things to look for. It's first, you identify, is that person doing and accomplishing what I'm wanting to accomplish, right? Make sure he's not just teaching it from something he learned somewhere else and he's just selling courses, right? Because that's the recipe for disaster. Okay. Next thing you want to look at is that coach, is he or she or that person, are they consistently getting those results for other people, right? Because doing it themselves and having the heart of a teacher and having the dedication to their students that's required is a whole nother animal. So make sure they're consistently helping other people and they're there for their students. And the third thing, make sure you like that person, your core values align with that person, right? Make sure that you could have a cup of coffee and enjoy your conversation with that person, right? Because you don't want to let that person down. It's going to hold you accountable. It's going to help you. It's going to help you in a lot of different ways. But those are my suggestions. So I say getting a coach and going through that filter of those 3 things. Yes, I am a coach, and yes, I can talk to you guys about my program and coach you if you want me to be your coach. But I hope that by me saying that, it doesn't turn you guys off and not go get a coach, because you think I'm only saying that because I'm trying to sign you up as a coach. If you think I'm giving you that advice because I'm trying to sign you up, find a different coach. Seriously, find a different coach. Don't hire me, hire someone else. Because hiring a coach truly will give you the right action steps. I look back to my journey in trying to do this from 2012 on, and I didn't do my first wholesale deal till 2017 because I tried to figure it out on my own. I'm an idiot. And it cost me so much money. When I finally hired Tom Kroll, my first 8 months, I made over $100,000. The full year after that, I made just shy of $500,000. The year after that, $1.2 million, right? I mean, I waited 4 years to make that small investment of $9,000 into Tom Kroll. And it's like, I'm kicking myself still to this day, right? It'd be so much further along, but that's okay, right? We live and learn. And now I can tell you guys with complete surety and conviction, and now I'm going to change your life because of the mistake I made. So don't make the same mistake. Get a coach.
Get a coach. I love it. I want you to drop that link just one more time that they can go to because they need a coach. I love the 3 tips that you gave them on getting a coach, which is just straight up solid advice. But I know that there are people who want to wholesale. So tell them one more time where they need to come.
Yep. So the link to the channel, or to the YouTube channel, the link to the 40-day challenge, I should say, is dfdmastery.com/40and40. My website is dfdmastery.com. That's where you can book a call and request to speak with us about the coaching program. So,
well, Zack, you have taught me yet again a whole lot of things I did not know, and I've got clarity on the fact that I did wholesale a deal and exactly why I wholesaled it, because my husband was mentally disconnected. I mean, it just instantly hit me like, girl, you've done this before, even though you are a realtor. It was the quickest way to sell in its as is condition. So everyone, please reach out to Zack. And also, we're going to include the links to our previous recording so that you can just hear that first one, especially if you are serious. But if you're serious, you do need to get a coach. So, Zack, we want to thank you for being here with us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again. Thanks, everybody.